Critics will no doubt chastise me for not taking climate change seriously. But please, Mr. President, nothing could be further from the truth. No Utahn needs to hear pious lectures about the gravity of climate change from politicians from other states. For it was only in 2016, as viewers of the Sci-Fi Network will well remember, when climate change hit home in Utah, when our own state was struck not simply by a tornado, Mr. President, but by a tornado with sharks in it. These images are from the indispensable documentary film Sharknado 4. They captured the precise moment when one of the tornado sharks crashed through the window of Utah's governor, Governor Gary Herbert, a true Utah hero and a fine American. Governor Herbert bravely fought the animal off with the tennis racket that he keeps by his desk. So let's be really clear, Mr. President. Climate change is no joke, but the Green New Deal is a joke. You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. Mr. President, this is the real solution to climate change. Babies.
It is Friday, March 29th, 2019. Welcome to Raging Chicken's Out the Coop podcast. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. Each week, I talk to our Capitol muckraker-in-chief, Sean Kitchen, about the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. Today's show, the Mueller Report dropped, and it's over 300 pages, but we just get to see the 4-page Barr Report. Trump says he's vindicated, Adam Schiff nearly explodes, and Rachel Maddow doubles down on Russia, Russia, Russia. Stacy Abrams will not be Joe Biden's VP nominee because, quote, who wants to run for second place? AOC brings the wrecking ball to Republicans who are playing games with our climate. AOC will also be on the Chris Hayes Show tonight on MSNBC at 8 p.m. for a special on the Green New Deal, live from the Bronx. And polls continue to show that the Green New Deal is super popular with people from coast to coast. Just in time, too. On Monday, a new report from the International Energy Agency shows that the world's energy demands grew by 2.3% this past year, and a bunch of young coal plants located in Asia led the way toward a record for emissions from coal-fired power plants, exceeding 10 billion tons of carbon dioxide for the first time, according to the report. And Senator Mike Lee puts on a performance that may just win an award for all-time stupid and juvenile and, well, pretty disgusting when you get right down to it. I mean, when you start your show with a painting of Ronald Reagan on a velociraptor shooting a machine gun, you need to check yourself, or at least quit your job. Center for Investigative Reporting gets its hands on an hour-long recording of oil executives celebrating and laughing after Trump appointed the lawyer from the American Petroleum Association of America to the Department of Interior, to everyone's lack of shock. Trump admin is trying to shut down Obamacare. Here we go again with that. Facebook says it's going to ban white nationalists and white supremacists from the platform. We'll see. And the DNC decides best thing to do for 2020 is blacklist consultant groups who work to help primary challengers. There you go. There you go. We got to put it here.
Oh, he's a doctor. That's
right. In today's PA Focus, there's a special election in the PA Senate's 37th District this week. Pam Iovino is running against the uber-rich Republican D. Raja. This seat, Raja, sorry, my bad. Doing Spanish there. This seat was vacated by Guy Rentschithaler, I don't know. Congressional victory, and Democrats are looking to pick this seat up. Daryl Metcalf invites climate deniers, skeptics, freaking idiots from the Das Hartland Institute to speak. They speak in front of the House Environmental Committee. You know, the one that... Daryl Metcalf. Yeah, the one that guy runs now. Meanwhile, the biggest takeaways from the hearing is Leanne Kruger doesn't give a fuck about your climate denial books, and the climate deniers find the terms climate deniers derogatory. And that's especially important for someone who is as well published by himself as these idiots. And Kruger, again, calls him out on that, too. My self-published book is doing really well. State Representative Stephanie Borowitz was seconds away from seeing snakes and speaking in tongues when she was speaking from the Capitol Dome of an extremely racist, Islamophobic opening prayer on the day of Pennsylvania's first Muslim woman, Movita Johnson Harrell, was sworn into the House. When you got, like, Mike Turzai actually's got to yank your arm to tell you, okay, I think you got over the top now, you know that you're out there. Hey, good thing it's making national news now. Bring the crazy right home. And Fallout, I forgot. We actually got an email from somebody that was very upset that we found that offensive. I'll have to pull up that email. The fallout from the prayer that has Democrats asking for a censure of Borowitz and her Islamophobic prayer, while Metcalf is asking to censor Democrats because of their censure. And then there was an egg and there was a chicken. There was a chicken and an egg. Oh, God. In today's last call, Mike Pence.
Wait, you forgot this.
Oh, what'd I do? Oh, my God. Minutes after Representative Borowitz went off to the Health Committee to vote on taking money from poor people because Jesus always said, blessed are the rich, for they shall inherit every damn thing they want. It's right out of the Bible, folks. Go read it. It's fucking actually, it's the preface to the Bible. First thing.
The King James Version.
Yeah, exactly. Today's last call, Mike Pence tries to channel Kennedy's moon landing speech, saying that NASA will speed up its plan to return to the moon in 2024. And Maddow actually briefly covered the announcement, although I think she gets it a little wrong in terms of the implications here. But I'll talk about that anyways. Today, the 29th of March, was supposed to be a day in history for NASA. It was supposed to be the first ever women's spacewalk. 2 women were supposed to go, but NASA didn't have enough of the right size spacesuits on board. So let's scrap that. Think about that. Crazy.
It's 2019.
Yeah, exactly.
Still figuring these out.
Exactly. You know these women, they're sitting up there, they're fucking saying, are you serious? Are you freaking serious? NASA will introduce a mini helicopter for its Mars 2020 mission. That's cool. Sean receives 3.5-pound all-metal cylinder in the mail right before today's podcast. Some heft to that cylinder. He's going to fill you in. And it's another Sour Sunday this weekend at Free Will Brewing, Tap Room in Percy. You're going to get first access to the brand new bottle release, Flowers in the Desert. And that's a blended mature sour ale aged in oak barrels with Arizona prickly pear, provided by and made in collaboration with their friends down in the Southwest, OHSO or OSO Brewery. We'll also have, they'll have Trey locally sourced down there and Taza truck set up right in front for your eating pleasures. Want to remind everybody to tune in to the Rick Smith Show this and every Saturday at 7 p.m. You can stream the show live at freespeech.org. And by the way, you should download Rick's daily podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's the Rick Smith Show, wherever you get your podcasts. Want to thank all of our members who have helped support the work here at Raging Chicken, and remind all of you that you can support progressive Pull No Punches Media, homegrown Pull No Punches Media, by becoming a member by going to patreon.com/RCPress today. That's the best thing you can do. Patreon.com/RCPress today for as little as $5 a month. How about that? Hey, Sean, man, what's going on?
Not much. Just enjoy the crazy week we had here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania was definitely was close to top of the charts for Wackadoo this week. That's for sure.
Yes,
I mean, I think everyone here was like channeling their inner Mike Lee, right, in order to bring it on. So,
and then baseball started yesterday.
Baseball did start yesterday. Yeah,
and the Phillies, are going to go 162-0.
Really, that's interesting.
Yes,
wow.
They're going to sweep the playoffs and win the World Series.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I know how good you are at calling baseball and everything, but I'll bet you $100 that they don't do that.
I'm not going to take that bet.
Oh, come on, man. I'm looking for ways to give you money. That's all.
But,
man,
it's good to see that the Phillies went out this offseason and they pretty much went out and tried to buy themselves a World Series, which is the way you got to do things these days. John Middleton, is a very wealthy billionaire coming from a tobacco family. So at least, his fortunes of killing people are going into making the Phillies a good baseball team, which is a great way to cleanse your morality, I believe.
There you go. So anytime that you ever kind of point out the contradictions of my love for space stuff, I'm going to point out that you're just kind of praising the guy who went out and kind of did all capitalist, all in money from tobacco, right, to buy a team. And that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
Just saying.
Because he spent $300 million on Bryce Harper. We brought in one of my favorite baseball players, Andrew McCutchen, when the Phillies were sucking ass in the 2010s. The aughts, I guess they're called. I was watching a lot of Pirate baseball out here in Central PA.
No, the aughts were the early, 01, 02.
Are these called the teens then?
The teens, yeah. The aughts are the zeros.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
But even that,
I'm not up to date on my millennial. My millennial Gen Xer speak is not.
No, I just freaking say the numbers because I even think back in the aughts, that's when everybody's gonna look at you. What the hell are you talking about? It's
but no, through the past 5 or 10 years, when the Pirates baseball was really good, they weren't able to get anywhere because of having the Brewers and Cardinals in front of them. Still, it was great watching them on their 3 or 4 year run that they had, and how good of a ball player McCutchen was at that time. So it's good seeing him on the Phillies. And it takes away from the crazy.
Yeah, well, there you have it.
It's a nice little, people complain about sports, but for me, sports is a nice little edge off the craziness they have to deal with.
Indeed, and I can't believe that I forgot to mention this in the show notes open for the PA stuff too as well. Big rally this week for the PA Promise. My bad, everybody, for. I'm not doing that. Great turnout in favor of tuition-free college in the state system of higher education, the 14 state-owned universities here in Pennsylvania. Amazing speeches. Particularly, there's a woman from Kutztown who's a member of the PA Student Power Network who was absolutely amazing. We'll talk about more of that in the next segment, but my bad for not mentioning that right up front in the intro because that was pretty cool this week. That warmed up my heart. I have to say that. So cool. Well, this week, you know what? Mueller Report, the Mueller Report. This is I actually tweeted out.
Did you expect anything out less?
No, I mean, this is kind of I'm frankly, I'm tired of this, right? And it's, I tweeted out after it dropped last Friday. I'm like, does this mean we get Rachel back? Right? And I tagged them the Maddow show, Rachel Maddow in there and the Maddow blog from there. I mean, it's kind of look, she was. I mean, I know. What's that?
I mean, these crimes have been established in the public record already. That the crimes that have been committed have been established through reporting and stuff like that and led to the indictments. So, we know stuff is there. But, it's...
Well, I mean, my issue is this.
But also, did you expect that this wasn't going to get buried by Barr?
No. I mean, look, frankly, I think that... in some ways, this is going to be. It's a big trap. This is a big trap, I think, for Democrats and progressives because it's. Look, I think Barr is eventually going to release something, right? So I think Barr is a smart enough political operator right? That he's going to start releasing stuff. Because look, what's the best? You think about this. What's the best thing that you can do if you're William Barr at this point? Is what you can do
leak all the good stuff that make you look innocent over time, and then use that for the presidential in 2020.
Well, yeah, I mean, and look at this. Like, he did it already, right? It was a really quick turnaround to release the 4 pages, right? There was all this speculation. This is where there's certain groups, and Rachel Maddow is kind of one of them, and love you, Rachel, but then a lot of the reporters that were kind of it was on this Russia beat, the whole kind of hashtag resistance stuff was on the Russia beat. It's like, they'll say he's never going to do it because Trump brought him in there to stop the report, blah, blah. Well, guess what? He didn't shut it down, and then said he was going to look at it over the weekend and put something out, and he did. Right, 4 pages with a key finding, right, as he did it. Now, again, yes, of course, he's highlighting particular things and all this other kind of stuff, but kind of followed through on that. And then my guess is going to have, in not too short order, right, the report is going to get released to Congress with a bunch of redactions, right, and then there's going to be a squabbling over, like, the redactions, what's actually redacted and should it be redacted or not. And this is the kind of stuff that I think most people in this country just, like, it puts them to sleep. Right? This is not the kind of stuff. Now, having said that, I want to be really 100% clear. I think that report should be 100% public. And one of the things that Maddow did say, and I think she's dead on about, if you look at all the special counsel reports that have taken place, last several decades, they've all been made public. Right? The Bill Clinton, that several years, the Ken Starr report. Right, after Bill Clinton was kind of like, they're recommending impeachment for like having sex with an intern, right? Like in the Oval Office, right? I mean, that's what it came down to, right? That was released like to the public, right? Within 48 hours of being delivered to Congress. Right, and all of the background, she was saying, there's like 36 boxes of evidence, in addition to the reports, was delivered to Congress, right, on one day, and they kind of gave them all the background information. I mean, that should be the standard. Now, again, I understand there's going to be redactions in this report because some of these things have to do with national security issues. I get that. So anybody who thinks that you're going to get it without redactions, that's just you're barking up the wrong tree. But I'm sure that the Trump administration is going to try to push the limits in terms of what it redacts. But that's going to be back and forth. But I think that this is a whole. And for me, the biggest problem of this is not that it's not important. I do think it's important. Like, I want to see that report primarily because I want to understand how all this stuff went down. Right, even if you can say this, again, whether there's going to be criminal stuff with the president or not, like that's. Whatever. That's almost in my mind secondary because I don't have all that invested in this. But I do think it's important that people know what exactly took place so that we have a consciousness of it and then we kind of like know better going forward. All that's good. But the fact that we're going to try to keep the drum beats going on here, it's like it's
and the real crimes are being covered in the Southern District of New York.
Right, and that's exactly. I mean,
that's where like a lot of coverage should be on the news.
Yeah, I think. Well, they could do this. I even that stuff, right? I want that covered. I want that covered, but in proportion, right? What's bothered me from the get-go, not from the get-go, but it's been bothered me, especially what's happened with MSNBC, particularly the Rachel Maddow show. And there's a good article in The Guardian that's talking about, wondering basically, is this going to have an impact on her? But is that it's wiped out all other coverage of other things, right? I mean, there's really important stuff that's going on right now. Right, that deserves like the kind of coverage that Maddow could bring. I mean, Chris Hayes has done a little bit of a better job in balancing some of this stuff, and he's really kind of been like underscoring right now that he's not in on all the kind of like yes, there's a conspiracy. He's even been pushing back on some of the Democrats who are going all in on the conspiracy theory stuff. Like totally 100% collusion, but whatever. So, anyways. That's all I'm going to say about this because you're going to see so much more about this. It's going to be hard to get away from news of the Russia report, especially if you're tapped in to any kind of liberal media. So there's that. But we got a follow up this week from we wondered a little bit about this, I think, last week or a couple of weeks ago, about Joe Biden kind of like teasing, wanted to have Stacy Abrams run with him.
Shocking. She said no.
She said no. She was like, "Oh, Joe, thank you, no."
No, not really. That's not how it went.
Exactly.
She went on The View this week. She was asked about the question on The View. She said, who wants to run for second place? Talking about for VP. And then also a couple of her aides went to speaking to other news outlets and pretty much called the move exploitative. Which, shocking that Joe Biden would do such a thing.
Right. Well, you had pointed out, too, as well, that this is exactly the same stuff, and the Majority Report covered this, too, as well, that he did pretty much the same thing last time around.
Yeah, with Liz Warren. I don't think he's going to run. I think if he would have jumped in by now.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I thought there was I can't remember who said this, but they said they were shocked that he did not get in on St. Patrick's Day if he was going to get in. I mean, that would have been like the perfect launch for him.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So Stacey Abrams is like, ain't biting. Sorry, not going to help you out, Joe.
And I think she has her own political aspirations where she either wants to run for governor again or that people like Schumer wants to push her to run for Senate. So, I mean, either way, she has aspirations to getting into statewide or back into federal government. Or federal.
Yeah, and she's in a position now. She's going to get massive.
She controls her own destiny. And also,
exactly.
I was talking about this with people at the American Votes Conference who are down in Georgia. I mean, like, she's right now, she can do more living a private life with her voter initiative stuff and taking a couple years off than actually running for a meaningless position like vice president.
Well, I wouldn't say it's meaningless, but whatever.
Well, okay, not meaningless, but a very neutered position.
Yeah, because I mean, I think exactly. She wouldn't. I mean, yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree with that. I think it's a neutered position in part because of the conditions under which that Biden would want her to run.
Yeah,
because we all know we have the example of Dick Cheney, of someone who used that office in a very different way. So my point is, the vice president is not necessarily.
They made a movie about that.
They did indeed.
I definitely recommend seeing that.
Yes. This week was all. I mean, look. I mean, I'm very happy this week for this has been climate change has been at the center of a lot of stuff this week. A lot of kind of like ridiculousness taking place in the Senate, as you heard at the top of the at the top of the show.
In the state.
What's that?
And in the state. Yep. But it was like again, from top to bottom, soup to nuts. We had climate change and the crazies out there. You heard in the intro today that was Mike Lee's, as part of Mike Lee's presentation, and literally. I had the whole thing. I had the whole sound drop. I was going to kind of cut it up in all sorts of different ways. I said, it's like how this guy could have gone on for so long. Did you watch his whole thing, Sean? I didn't watch any of this. I did not hear any of it. That was the first time I heard it.
Are you serious? That was the first time you heard it?
Yes, that was the first time I heard it.
Okay,
I didn't realize it was on the Senate floor.
Well, if you haven't seen it, yes, it was on the Senate freaking floor. He stands up there. So, okay, look. So that if Sean hasn't seen it, maybe you guys haven't seen it either too as well. But what happened here says Mike Lee comes down, and because look, the context is Mitch McConnell.
I see. I actually had like a busy week this week.
Yeah, I had a joke. I got it. I got it. It took me a little bit there to catch up. That was funny. I thought you were serious for a second. No. He did have a busy week. I'm just messing with him. But so he comes down to the floor of the Senate, right? Because of course Mitch McConnell puts the Green New Deal, the resolution that kind of passed in the House, puts the New Deal to a vote, and the whole idea is McConnell is looking for ways to drive wedges between Democrats about whether they're going to support this or not, and then use it as just an opportunity to showcase against it, right? And so the Democrats weren't biting; they all voted present, and we can go back and forth and argue about that,
which is a good thing.
I like the move, right?
I think it's a move. One, it's a move of solidarity, right?
Yes, exactly.
It shows you that we will not vote yes and we will not vote no on this. We are all sticking together, and we're not going to deal with the bullshit here.
Right, and Markey, Senator Markey, one of the co-sponsors of that, the sponsor in the Senate, he came out and said as much as this, and he's like, "Look, we're not just going to play this game. This is real stuff here. We're talking about a serious threat to global humanity, and these people want to play freaking games." And so Mike Lee, he gets up to speak about this, right? And he says, I know people are going to criticize you. You heard some of it there, right? And then the first thing, he has these giant cards behind him, right? These giant pictures that they put up on these stands so often. The first one is a painting of Ronald Reagan riding a velociraptor, shooting a machine gun, waving an American flag, right? And then he goes and says, this is
a very popular internet meme.
Oh, he's like, this is how the Cold War was brought to end, and this has more to do with climate change, just as much as the Green New Deal has to do with climate change. That's his one thing. Then he says, then what's going to happen? What are we going to do with, they want to shut down air travel, and how are we going to get along? Well, especially those folks way up in the north. How are they going to get along? And he has a giant picture of, from Star Wars, of the Tauntaun. What's that?
Hyperloop.
No. Oh, no, that too. Oh, that would help. No, of a tauntaun, right, from The Empire Strikes Back, riding on on the planet Hoth, and he's like, we could use tauntauns, right? This, of course, is from the ice planet Hoth. And then he said, but then what's going to happen to all those people out in Hawaii? How are they going to get from place to place? Oh, I know. Throws up a giant picture of Aquaman riding a seahorse, and say, we're just going to give them all these. And then he concludes after this absurdity, and with the kind of section that I gave you there, with that this Sharknado crap, right? That he feels because of Sharknado, and then his solution literally was that the solution is babies. We need to start having more babies so there could be more people with engineers and thinking up creative solutions in the future. I mean, it's so
actually, we need less babies.
Well, totally, right? I mean, but it's that was his whole thing. I mean, it was off the charts, and he was trying to be he was trying to be as dismissive as he was, right? But the big thing is this is what they're putting their energies toward when we're talking. We've been told
a serious fucking subject.
Alarms going off, right? 12 years, less than 12 years now before it's game over. Before it's born, it's game over. And by game over, I don't mean that the end of the human race necessarily. I just mean living in a kind of much more dystopian world, right, where we're going to see lots and lots of deaths, food shortages, massive droughts, massive storms, right?
Massive floodings in the Midwest.
Yeah, right across the board, right? And this is where, Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, massive flooding in the Midwest. We're seeing, again, this spring, we're going to be seeing above average flooding. Flood season is going to be above average in the whole entire, eastern half of the country.
Yep.
More severe in some other spots. Yeah.
It's nuts. And this is why, I thought when AOC was on, when she basically took, the Republicans to task, all right, there's that 2 minute 15 seconds.
When she was talking about our right to having clean air and clean water not being some elitist idea.
Yep.
I know she is 100% correct. This is where we failed with messaging and where it's gotten a lot better over the couple of years, where it's the intersectionality of climate change with race, of climate change with poverty.
Yep.
The way our cities are constructed, the way our cities are planned out and mapped out, and then the way, with the problems they've created through redlining and white flight are going to be getting compounded with air pollution, with, infrastructure projects ripping right through them, with climate change issues,
exactly,
with pipelines going through these neighborhoods, with oil refineries popping up near these neighborhoods. Their right to clean air and clean water. They're not going to Davos for that.
Right.
Which was great when she said that.
Exactly.
This isn't some dippy, hippie, liberal, elitist billionaire type thing. No, this is affecting real lives.
Absolutely. And
that's the type of messaging that we have lacked. Well, we haven't lacked it. It's not the messaging we as a movement have lacked.
No.
It's the messaging the Democratic Party has lacked.
Right.
For all these years.
And this is where you want to talk about a I don't know, I wouldn't call it quite yet a political revolution, right? But a political changing of the guard is taking place right now. When you see AOC kind of on the floor of the House, kind of making those kind of arguments, right? So straightforward. And let's just track this through, because so straightforward and bringing that to number one. The fact that the Green New Deal is even being talked about is a result, of those new legislators coming in, specifically AOC, right? Then, that's defining the discourse right now, like in Washington, and has been for like 2 weeks now. Chris Hayes is now having her on tonight, 8 p.m., like live at 8 p.m. on MSNBC. Watch his show. She's going to be there on live. They're doing a 1-hour special on the Green New Deal, and they're doing it in the South Bronx. Right. Not only is AOC from the South Bronx, representing her district, right, but it also is a very different venue when you think about climate change. And so on Chris Hayes' show last night, he actually's got a reporter that actually goes into the South Bronx, and we find out that the largest food distribution kind of like houses or whatever you call those things, warehouse or whatever, is in the South Bronx and is at risk of climate change. The biggest food distribution center in the world is there. Right? And it will be underwater if we don't do something. And there's plans, and this is from that reporting, there's plans in Manhattan to build a seawall, right, around kind of like lower Manhattan, the financial district, but there are no such plans for the South Bronx and other areas like that. So not only is it industrial, right, but that's where you have concentrations of the poor, concentrations of African American, Latino populations, of immigrant populations, and they are the ones who are most at risk. So now, not only do you have AOC kind of in a very it's less than 6 months defining the discussion around the Green New Deal, taking Republicans to task and calling them what they deserve to be called, calling them out on the floor, and now you've shifted the discussion to the point where there's a special, right, with AOC, but they're from the South Bronx, highlighting the impact, right, on at-risk communities. I mean, this is freaking amazing. And so this is all super good news. And the polling that keeps on coming out, comes out and shows that the Green New Deal is popular across the board, right? Even among Republicans. So, I mean, it's like, I'm just in awe. So all that stuff is really, really good news. I mean, and it would have been great if this was 10 years ago, right? When we weren't going to have to be operating in kind of a crisis, but we could actually could have done a little bit more planning. If we started 10 years ago, we still would have been like up shit's creek, right? Yeah. But at least that we weren't we would have been contemplating the kind of complete disappearance of certain island nations, right? And the kind of massive refugee, millions of people being killed every year from air pollution, and not to mention, like, as we talked about there, the droughts and everything like that. And the fact that AOC actually, in her messaging, when she was calling out Republicans on the floor, that drew attention to those farmers in Nebraska and Missouri that are losing their farms and they will never be the same again, is a direct result of climate change, was amazing. She used, like, the South Bronx and the farmers in Nebraska in the same freaking sentence, right, to bring all that stuff together. Because we talked about that, like the bomb cyclone crap that's going to be like, kind of increase this kind of rainfall. It's going to increase the kind of flooding that we're seeing right now. And, kudos to her. So it's great. Because, most of the news has been not good, right? And I mentioned that stuff in the kind of right in the intro today, so I don't want to, need to go over that again. But, emissions are not going down. We need some serious action. And, we're right there. So thank you to Sunrise Movement. Thank you to AOC. Thank you to all those people that are out there kind of pushing for this. And we just got to double down and keep it moving. So cool. Other random news. This is this is not going to be blow anybody's mind, right? But Center for Investigative Reporting got their hands on hour-long recordings from executives from fossil fuel company executives who are part of the American Petroleum Association of America. And that recording has basically them after Trump appointed, forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but Trump appointed this guy to the the number 2 position in David Bernhardt, the number 2 position in the Department of the Interior. They were like laughing and celebrating and said, "We got our guy now. We got our guy in the inside, and we got a direct line to all sorts of policy." This is kind of a quote from the recording. Quote, We know him very well. We have direct access to him, have conversations with him about issues ranging from federal land access to endangered species to a lot of issues. And so, that kind of stuff, they got it all on tape. And so what this is going to be important for is obviously historical records, right? And to kind of see the direct evidence of, the collusion between oil industries and the Trump administration. So there you have it. Cool. This week was also the week where we had the Trump administration is trying to destroy Obamacare yet again. Another
fail. I listened to Sam Cedar with this. Like one of the videos on YouTube. Yeah. I think he had it right. It's just another low-level distraction that's not going to do anything. But you see, and this is where, in my opinion, the Russia stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to hold much weight in the 2020 election. I think it's going to come down to ideas and issues.
Yes.
And you know what? Good for Trump to keep this issue going. This is exactly why you lost in 2018.
Yep.
And, protecting healthcare, you want to go down this road. You want to try to dismantle it before the 2020 election and get blown out that way. Great.
Yep, exactly. All the polls that came out that said, what's the most important issue to you going into the 2018 election? Healthcare. And now you've got a president who basically says we want to get rid of it. So, I'm looking at this like what this is going to bolster, right? This is where
this is going to bolster the M4A argument.
Exactly. Medicare for all, right? Because people are going to be because now that's where the energy is, and you say, look, if they were successful, or even they're taking part pieces of it, they'd be look, there's no fixing this. That's it. We're done. We're going Medicare for all. Right, it's going to be a leapfrog effect. Instead of trying to tinker around the edges, they're going to go right. It's going to bolster support for Medicare for all, to cut out the nonsense and make this and expand this for once and for all.
So, good job. Bottoms up.
Keep bottoms up. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Cheers with the coffee cups this morning. So, also a little cheers to Facebook. Says that they're going to finally ban white nationalists and white supremacists from the platform. Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm really curious to see the havoc that the new algorithms are going to kind of do throughout this,
especially for independent reporting and news outlets.
Well, I'll tell you, I've already had this issue. It's come up twice now already. That when posting our podcast, right? Posting our podcast the last 2-3 weeks, because we've made mention of racists, right, in our titles and things like this, or kind of the white nationalist in New Zealand, right, a couple weeks back. Because we've made mention of that, those posts got flagged, and I had to go through and kind of prove that they were actually not one nationalist. Now, look, I'm not complaining. I'm fine, that's fine. But again, it just shows you what happens when you have this such concentrated power, where they're just going to let this algorithm kind of run through all this stuff, and it could actually interfere with reporting on this stuff, as opposed to the people that are actual white nationalists. So. But this is our world right now. All the more reason to kind of bring out the antitrust with Facebook and take down the white nationalists. It's pretty straightforward to me.
Yep.
And in news of I think there's only one person that can say this the right way.
People think you might flip the House and Senate this November, but you guys always find a way to mess it up. You're somehow going to lose by 12 points to a guy named Jeff Pedophile Nazi Doctor. Oh, he's a doctor.
That's right. Michelle Wolf, everybody. Now, this is not exactly the same thing, but anytime I get a chance to have Michelle Wolf through that zinger, I'll do it. But the DNC has decided that it is going to blacklist some consultant groups who do work with primary challengers for the next election. And this is just you got to kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And this is
This isn't just blacklisting consultants. This is kneecapping young people who are trying to get into politics too.
Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, you're not only kneecapping challenger candidates, you're kneecapping people who want to make a living in politics, the future generation.
Yep. Basically coming out and basically saying, "Yep, no, we're gonna make it as difficult as possible for you to run a primary challenge, because these folks who would normally get involved with the race." At least
this means that Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC are going to be protected, right?
Yeah, right. I don't think it's going to work like that. It's just there was new legislation that was proposed up in Quebec, right? It was kind of the banning of religious symbols for the like in the House or the legislature. But if you read deep into it, they're like, "Well, wait a minute, a crucifix. That's not a religious symbol." Right? It's the same kind of shit. It's like, it's like, all right. Yeah, no. Yes, we're going to ban the kind of primary challenge. Well, unless, of course, you want to go after the real progressives. The malcontents. Right, exactly.
The women of color who are mucking things up.
Exactly. Yeah, make the Democratic Party white again, huh? No, well, I shouldn't say that because the Democratic Party has been a much more diverse party, but make it, I don't know, centrist Wall Street loving again, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you ask some of the white people who are going to be voting for Joe Biden, they might actually share those same sentiments.
That's a good point.
Because they're the only people supporting Joe Biden, the white male Democrats who believe that they built this party.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, if you want to have, well, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. I'm not. I just don't need to say it. Okay, yeah, cool. So there you have it. So
off to the Pennsylvania part.
Yeah. Whatever. I could just go off on this forever. That's what I'm trying to stop myself from, because it's just like, come on, guys. Let's for once, right? Let a primary system play itself out. Right. Thank God that they're not going to try to do some weird shit around the debates at this point. But let democracy play itself out, and for once. Right, instead of backing like consultant-approved, Wall Street-stamped candidates that are decided from the top down, let the base, let the people in the constituent, let the people who know their constituency best and who have the policies that reflect them, let them make their run.
They don't want ordinary people becoming elected officials.
Right. It is a rare case that a primary challenge is a bad thing for the incumbent.
Either it makes that incumbent a better person, it makes them more responsive to the community that they serve, or they get kicked out.
Yep, exactly.
It's
there you have it. There you have it.
It's a tool making that person either better or to get rid of them.
Yep, there you go. Right, button sewed. All right, everybody. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. I want to remind you that you can support Progressive Pull No Punches Media right here by going to patreon.com/RCPress today. Become a member for as little as $5 a month. Right? If you just want to send us a donation, that'd be awesome too as well. You go to ragingchickenpress.org, click on the big blue donate button, and give us what you can. Right, we've got some good news. We have brought on a kind of a new writer last month. We have from Dorcas had her first piece on writing on the environment stuff. Looks like that we are probably going to be bringing on a new student writer this summer, potentially as an intern, which is fantastic. And then I've also heard back from a couple organizations in the Lehigh Valley area that may be interested in working with us on some on kind of supporting some really on the ground reporting. So things are moving. I'm very, very excited about this, and you can help make this all the more real by becoming a member of patreon.com/RCPress today. And I want to remind you, become a member at the $10 a month level. Right now I'll say it to the end of April, we'll send you a copy of David Wallace Wells' The Uninhabitable Earth, Life After Warming, an absolutely indispensable, if kind of like shocking book, right, around climate change, all based on science and all basically making the case for why we need to act absolutely immediately. So anyways, there we have it. We will be back right after this quick break. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1918, and someone was born who would forever change the retail industry in the United States. His name was Sam Walton. Sam Walton opened his first Walmart store in 1962 in Rogers, Arkansas. Just 20 years later, Sam Walton was the richest man in the United States. By 2014, Walmart had grown to the largest private employer in the United States, employing 1.4 million people. The Walmart company is staunchly anti-union. Recently, a campaign has emerged to organize Walmart workers. The campaign started because Walmart employees earn less than those at most other big retail chains. Workers often have to deal with erratic scheduling and part-time status, even when they want more hours. Many of the Walmart workers rely on government assistance just to make ends meet. A study of stores in Wisconsin found on average workers from just one store use nearly $1 million in government aid annually. But there's an effort to change all of that. It's called the organization United for Respect at Walmart, Our Walmart for short. The group has gained media attention by organizing worker protests at stores across the country on Black Friday. The day after Thanksgiving is the busiest shopping day of the year. In 2014, Black Friday protests occurred at 1,600 stores across the nation. Union and community members have joined Walmart workers in pickets and rallies. Interfaith Worker Justice has also been a strong supporter of the campaign. While Walmart has done virtually everything in its power to break the spirit of the Our Walmart members, there is evidence that the will of the workers is working. In early 2015, Walmart announced that it would raise the base wage for part-time workers, proving that there is power in numbers and organized workers can fight and win for a better future.
Welcome back to Raging Chicken's Out to Coot podcast. In today's PA Focus, got a lot of stuff going on. Like we said, there was some crazy here in Pennsylvania, and it's been a while. But we also got some hate mail for this too as well. So we'll get into that too as well. Want to make sure that we go right to the mailbag today. Once we get in here, to make sure that they get a full hearing in the court of public opinion. It's the beauty of the internet. Anybody can listen to our shows, and anybody can write about stuff, and anybody can...
It's a free market of ideas.
Exactly. So we will definitely hear from one of these servants of God shortly. But before then, Sean, what's going on, man?
Not much. We actually got a bunch of shit going on in Pennsylvania this week.
Pretty cool, right? You even had to get up early this week, I guess.
Yeah, I had to be out of I was actually in the Capitol before 8:00 on Wednesday.
Yeah, see that? I'm like I'm normally up around 5:30 or so because I got kids and I got to do stuff in the morning and things like this. And I woke up on Wednesday and I heard this giant like off in the distance, this giant whine going. And then I saw your tweet and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Going into the Capitol for an 8:30 hearing is like going or not going to 8:00 class.
No, okay. I was going to wonder where that comparison was going to be. I'm like, how extreme is he going to get? It's like being sent off to war.
It's like, for me, it's like skipping an 8:00 class. Like, it's like being forced to go. It's the tyranny of going to 8:00. Like, I don't believe people should be doing anything at 8:00 in the morning. Uh-huh. Like that's not really when the workday starts.
Is that okay? Okay. You don't have to get up, be someplace at 8:30 in the morning. You know what it's like? It's like having to drink coffee from a diner. But no, it's
like I usually do get up at 6:30 now. Like I haven't, because I'm not having any beer and I've been sleeping great lately. I've been going to the gym.
That's what they call it these days.
Yeah. So, so we got some Pennsylvania news this week, more than usual. So I guess to start things off, we have a special election coming up on Tuesday. It's a very important seat out in Western PA. That's
like a Pittsburgh suburb. Is that the case?
Yes. Yeah. So it's for the Pennsylvania's 37th Senate District, for Guy Renshaw, who was just elected to Congress. Democrats are running Pam Iovino. She came in second place to Connor Lamb in the nominating process for the congressional seat last year with that special election. So she got this one. Very strong candidate. She was like a Air Force veteran for like 30 years.
Navy.
Yep. Navy vet. She's getting all of the support of union labor out in Western PA, and she's running against an uber-rich Republican named D. Raja. He is an Indian immigrant. He is extremely rich. He started his own company but he's never won a race. He's ran 3 or 4 races that he's lost out in that part of Western Pennsylvania. Republican activists really aren't thrilled with the pick of picking Raja, because they don't see that he's a viable candidate. He's a 3-time loser out there, and this is just going to be another seat that he's going to lose and give to Democrats. So yeah, this is a really important potential pickup.
It's interesting too, because you kind of were making reference to this. Is she has a very similar kind of lane as Connor Lamb too as well.
She's a blue Democrat, but she's going to be really strong on labor.
Yeah. So it just seems like she's going to. This is kind of like what has been seen by some in the model in the state for that particular kind of region. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah,
and I mean if Democrats pick the seat up, it will be a flip, most definitely. That means for 2020, Democrats only have to look for 3 more races to pick up to flip the Senate. And really 2, because Tom Killian is the last Republican that's left in Delco after what happened in 2018. And the reason why he didn't get knocked out is because he wasn't up for election. And so Tom Killian is pretty much a dead man walking at this point.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
He's walking the Green Mile at this point. But no, I mean, that's how everything. So really, Democrats have to find 2 more seats to pick up. There are seats that switch hands back and forth quite often that are up for this year. One of them is up in Erie. Laughlin is up for re-election, and then another possible pickup will be out here in Harrisburg, where DeSanto is running. Hearing he doesn't really. He's super rich. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This just isn't fun for him, and I think he wants to get out of the Senate. He's not enjoying it. So I don't think his ego is keeping him in there like a Raja would. And that's another thing. Raja is like another Scott Wagner, but he's actually worth 9 figures. So there's a lot more zeros on the end of his fortune than Scott Wagner. So, it would be really good if Iovino wins this week for the pickup and to keep another egomaniac out of the Senate like Raja.
There you go.
And the Republicans actually don't want him in the Senate. That's sort of why they picked him to run.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, this is more of this. The Republican leadership see this as addition by subtraction. By keeping someone like Raja, a wealthy donor, out of the Senate, makes things run more smoothly. I mean, things ran really smoothly without Wagner in there.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay.
I mean, these people don't really want to work.
Well, I was like, I don't even understand that logic, but whatever. I mean,
they feel like I feel like in Harrisburg, the conventional wisdom is that the Republicans will be much better off losing the seat than because I feel like they know that they have a feeling they're going to lose this seat, and just put up a candidate like Raja, get it over with, lose, keep him as a donor, and keep him out of the Senate, so he doesn't wreck things like the way Wagner did.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and keep things in harmony.
Yeah, the harmony.
What a little harmony exists.
You mean like Daryl Metcalf? Yeah, let's just always remember that.
Yeah.
So crazy. So well, there we go. Special election Tuesday then, right?
Yes, and then Fetterman and Wolf are going out there this weekend to stump and vote for her. Fetterman was out there last weekend. Fetterman's been hitting that district really hard and helping out, getting them to try to get Iovino, Pam into the Senate.
So there you go. If you are in the PA Senate 37th District, get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. Because we need it. Because, man, there's like... I'm like reluctant even to kind of like deal with this.
Deal with this landline.
Holy crap! This week.
So sometimes stories in Harrisburg, are like slow moving train wrecks. You can see them happening from a mile away. like, you know, like when Metcalf brought a white nationalist to speak in front of the committee, you knew this was a train wreck like 5 days out. This is like a hurricane, watching a hurricane just barreling ashore. Like, you knew there was going to be death and destruction and carnage everywhere. And then sometimes there's stories that just fucking pop up out of nowhere and just fill a huge vacuum. And this week in Harrisburg, we were privy to one of those stories with Stephanie Borowitz speaking in tongues on the House dais.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It was crazy.
What was your reaction when I seen the video?
Well,
like the first time you watched it.
I was literally like, okay, so let's see. This is when Sean's saying slow moving train wreck. I guess that's really the context for me, because when she begins, right? It's like,
well,
okay,
I was talking about slow moving train wreck. Like, you see Metcalf fucking up days in advance, right? You see them doing something stupid by planning a bullshit committee hearing, and you know it's going to cause trouble.
No, totally, yeah. Right? But the point is, even in the way that
you saw this, yeah.
It's like at the beginning of it, it's like you're like, okay, you're going to bring one of these people in. You've got the first like Muslim being elected into office in Pennsylvania, and so you bring in this kind of like, you know,
right.
She
was actually scheduled for weeks. She wasn't brought in, so like the House prayer schedule is scheduled like months out in advance. Oh, wow. She just happened to be on this day. Oh, God. But I would not be surprised if she was pushed or nudged in a different direction, knowing that she was going to be up there that Monday, knowing that that Movita was being sworn in on Monday.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like, it was just, Karzai
was not happy.
It was, well, yeah. So I wonder, like, you know, that's what I'm going to think about, like, who the heck would push it in that way, like, to see. I mean, there's such like, I don't know. I just found that it's so incredibly, one, just like embarrassing, and then two, like hateful. You know what I mean?
Yes. And then you saw at least like a good 10 or 15 seconds in, you saw like fucking Terzai give her smoke eye.
Yeah. Kind of like, hey, okay.
You saw this like smoke eye from Terzai, like, oh boy, where's this going? And I mean, the reason why he nudged her on the arm, because that was at the point where members were actually yelling to get her off of the stage, to get her off the dais. Like, that's when members were actually yelling objection and walking off the floor over this.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. I think it might be worthwhile to hear a little bit of this. I think I got the sound here. Just give me a second. And just because if you have not heard this, it really is just kind of like absolutely, I mean, so far gone. Let's see. I think I got
you don't pray like this?
Well, no, look. People want to pray like that. That's fine, right? Go ahead and do it, right?
Don't do it in public.
Have at it. This is just like, look, remember, come on. We're in Pennsylvania, like where the Constitution was written, you know, where we were kind of like the separation of church and state kind of stuff, right? And this is just so over the top, right? So over the top. So here, I think this is going to come through. So this is Stephanie Borowitz giving the opening prayer. And just
Representative Borowitz.
Thank you, Speaker. Let's pray.
Let's pray, everybody.
Jesus, I thank you for this privilege, Lord, of letting me pray, God, that I, Jesus, am your ambassador here today, standing here representing you, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great I am, the one who's coming back again, the one who came, died, and rose again on the third day. And I'm so privileged to stand here today. So thank you for this honor, Jesus. God, for those that came before us, like George Washington and Valley Forge, and Abraham Lincoln, who sought after you in Gettysburg, Jesus, and the founding fathers in Independence Hall, Jesus, that sought after you and fasted and prayed for this nation to be founded on your principles and your words and your truths. God, forgive us. Jesus, we've lost sight of you. We've forgotten you, God, in our country. And we're asking you to forgive us, Jesus. That your promise and your word says that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek your face and turn from their wicked ways, that you'll heal our land. Jesus, you are our only hope.
Oh, that's it.
God,
Obi-Wan.
I pray for our leader, Speaker Turzai, Leader Cutler, Governor Wolf, President Trump. Lord, thank you that he stands beside Israel unequivocally, Lord. Thank you that Jesus, that we're blessed because we stand by Israel, and we ask for the peace of Jerusalem, as your word says, God. We ask that we not be overcome by evil, and that we overcome evil with good in this land once again. I claim all these things in the powerful, mighty name of Jesus, the one who, at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess, Jesus, that you are Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Oh, God.
So I wish, I really wish that Turzai didn't stop her and just let her keep on going for another 20 seconds. Because I really think she would have, was about to have a religious experience and just start speaking in tongues.
Dude, I'm totally with you.
Like from a Benny Hinn concert.
It was something.
It was on a Benny Hinn level of did you ever see the video let the bodies hit the floor?
Yeah.
The mashup, and it's that's what we were almost getting to.
And it's look, literally. God bless her, right? I mean, seriously. I mean, all the power, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. That's fine, right? But this was just so...
these are the people who should say out politics.
But what she was saying in there, look at what she was doing, right? She was
everyone's going to bend the knee to Jesus.
Mm-hmm. She talks about Israel, right? And that is the most kind of that is right now the dog whistle, right? Support Israel. Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, where the hell did that come from? That became because Ilhan Omar, right? And at the same day, you've got kind of the first Muslim kind of representative coming in. And
again, it shows you how the religious right, their views on Israel are inherently anti-Semitic. Their views on Israel is to have Israel established and go unfettered simply because that they could fulfill their end-time prophecies in the Book of Revelation.
That's right.
That's the only thing this is where the fundamental rights, right-wing fundamentalist support for Israel boils down to their creation and the fulfillment of end-time prophecies.
Yes, and
that is the basis of our fucking policy with Israel. That is the underground. That is the fundamental basis, the fundamental foundations of our foreign policy relationship with Israel. Is this fucked up right-wing evangelical Christianity view that Israel's only here to serve their end-time prophecies.
Well, and let's remember, and this kind of stuff is where everything bleeds over into, some of the worst kind of corners of our political life right now, into misogyny, into patriarchy, into white nationalism, right? It's this whole, that whole soup is nasty. We've had Colleen Clemens on our podcast before, right? And Colleen Clemens has written extensively about about toxic masculinity and stuff like this. She got attacked by Tucker Carlson because of this stuff, right? But that's part of it. And I want to, as a way of kind of just underscoring that, right, is that this kind of rhetoric, right, that we saw from Borowitz on the floor is also rooted in this weirdness that you get in the kind of religious discourse. So we actually got some hate mail this week, right? And I shouldn't say it's hate mail because it's all done in love from love of God, right? But listen to this language with that idea about toxic masculinity in here. When you're talking about gods as if you're going to have pardon the expression,
battle royale.
Yeah, a battle royale dick fight, right? I mean, this is what it's about. It's about whose is bigger, right? And who is strong and who is masculine, right? This is kind of the subtext of what this is. So we got this email from Reverend Dennis Fitzpatrick. And the best I can tell at this point, I'll be honest with you, I didn't do a whole lot of poking around to find out where exactly he's from, but it might be Colorado, potentially something like this, right? So again, God bless the internet, everybody. So this is what he said. So apparently Sean, best I can tell, is it was something Sean tweeted out, right? Because somebody went kind of right to our little tip line and decided to kind of send us a little tip. Right, so I just want to read everybody this email. So this is from, again, Reverend Dennis Fitzpatrick. Your quote, journalist Sean Kitchen was offended at the use of the name of Jesus too many times in prayer. Are you saying the Muslim God is too weak? Right? I swear to God, that's how it starts out. The Muslim God is too weak to compete with Jesus. Right? When my father served as a chaplain in Cook County Jail, that's out in Chicago, the ministerial alliance, which included Muslim chaplain, prayed together. A Christian pastor prayed avoiding using the name of Jesus in his prayer to not offend the Muslim chaplain. The Muslim chaplain berated him for his behavior. He was willing to pray in the name of Allah and said the Christian ought to pray in the name of Jesus if that was his faith. Actually, it's the, quote, progressive faith that is pathetically weak. You believe in nothing, which is why you strive to force others to believe in nothing too. Ironically weak and totalitarian at the same time, Sean. The Muslim chaplain had more confidence, more faith, and more truth than you could ever wish to have. Signed, Rev Fitzpatrick.
So, you know what that reminded me of?
Please do tell.
You remember those hordes? The hordes? I can't...
The hordes? Do you mean, are you talking about, like, these people?
At my challenge! By the ancient laws of combat, we met at this chosen ground to settle for good and all. Who holds sway over the 5 points? Us natives, born rightwise.
Are you bloody fucking Muslims?
Exactly.
Or the foreign hordes defiling it.
There you go. Thank you, Reverend Fitzpatrick. Thank you for your mail.
So let me just clarify. He is right about one thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe in any fucking gods. Let's just establish that from... But
let's just kind of underscore that makes you kind of both weak and totalitarian at the same time. But just so everybody.
Okay.
Just know that about Sean if you're going to meet him. He's both weak and totalitarian. It makes me a
soy boy beta cuck.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe in any gods. I came to these conclusions when I went through 13 years of Catholic schooling. And
that does it to a lot of people, actually.
Yes, it does. But it also, you actually learn about theology. You have to take it every day. So if you absorb some of it, you can realize, what's funny about this is Allah, God, and Yahweh are all the same God.
My God, Sean, it's blasphemy. It's blasphemy. I can't believe that has been spoken upon the airs.
And you know what else?
My ears are bleeding.
You know what's worse about this?
Do tell.
That the Muslim religion acknowledges all of the prophets of Old Testament, and they acknowledge that Jesus and Mary were prophets and existed in the Quran. So I mean, we're really I'm not gonna. Smart people know about this.
Yeah, no, and you could also look. As far as I'm concerned, it's also I think people should read the Gnostic Gospels too as well. If you really want to get into this, read the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, the ones that were purged from the official versions of the Bible because of the want to reinstall patriarchy within Catholicism and Christianity. Those Gospels are actually very, very interesting. So is the Gospel of Thomas, by the way. The doubter. Since we're talking about gospel, I think it's also we should go into our next subject about what happened exactly after this. So Movita Johnson-Harrell is going to be getting sworn in. Apparently, Borowitz and a large number of Republicans left the floor, so they did not have to watch Movita getting sworn in. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I say that is hate filled, because when they did that. That was kind of that took away any question, right? So even though she may have been scheduled for that day, right? But you cannot tell me that there was not hate in that. Yes, and I don't think this was intentionally set up by Terzai
like I think if anything happened, she was probably nudged afterwards because this is how this day broke down. So you usually have the swearing in, you have the opening prayer for session day, and then you have the business right afterwards that usually lasts 15 to 20 minutes. Then you have your first recess, and that's when you have like your committee hearings that are called the chair. They're usually like in the afternoon. So there's a process here of like 20 minutes before like the actual committee hearings. You break out into your caucuses and you go to the committee hearings. So like apparently, as soon as her prayer ends, she leaves the floor. A bunch of House members go with her, and then Movida is sworn in right afterwards. Democrats go into caucus, and I am sure something was said in caucus about this. With a lot of members, not like Summer Lee tweeted out. Summer Lee's tweet, I'm sure everyone saw it. Who've read it this week? Did you see her tweet?
No, I didn't. Oh, I might have actually. Okay, I'm remembering.
So Summer Lee had a really great fucking tweet. Okay, so she wrote this like as it was happening. Today, we're swearing in the first Muslim woman to the Pennsylvania General Assembly. To honor the occasion, Rep. Terza invites the most inappropriate, racist, Islamophobe to ramble a prayer thanking Trump, Jesus, and Israel. Most inappropriate thing I've witnessed in my 4 months. It was so bad that another rep cried objection in the middle of the prayer. Members of the Muslim community present, and there was also members of the body who are Muslim, and that like Movida deserved better. # do it better.
Yep.
Do better. And like it was not just Movida there who was Muslim. It was a lot of people from her mosque that were there, and a lot of her friends were there from the community. And she actually has an awesome story. As we explained a couple weeks ago, like she is great. I actually had a chance to talk to her a couple of times. She is going to be a wrecking force within that caucus and within that house.
Whoop, whoop.
She is smart, very well spoken. She is. She came up. She lived on, like, grew up on welfare, grew up in poverty, on general assistance and stuff like that. She's lived that life. And she lucked into getting a seat. I mean, it happened that 2 of the 3 people who wanted to fill this seat were knocked off for residency issues, not having an active water line in their house for 5 years. So they just had the address without paying the water bill. And she happened to get in for this. But yeah, so there's all this happening. Mm-hmm. So like everyone walks off the floor, comes back, and Dermody dresses down the Republican Party, saying it's one of the most hateful, like pretty much we're reiterating the words, these prayers are supposed to be inclusive and not divisive. This divided us. And this pretty much Dermody got up and said, this is an embarrassment to this house. This is embarrassing that this happened in this house. This is beneath the House of Representatives. And like afterwards, after Dermody got done speaking, after people were still pissed off about this, just about every Republican came up, shook her hand, and congratulated her for her day.
Well, good for them.
Like that's another thing I heard that happened on the floor with people that I know who are staffers in the legislature. So during this break period, right, when they were caucusing, there was the House Health Committee going on, and they were going after General Assistance Cash Fund, HB 33. And funny thing was that Borowitz voted to take this program away.
Oh, it's because what Jesus would have done, right?
Yeah. Blessed are the rich, for they. And this is where, like, I love using the fact that I'm an atheist and I actually know Bible quotes and knowing how the Bible. You know, there's this thing called the Beatitudes.
Beatitudes?
Yeah, the Beatitudes.
What are you the Beatitudes? What are you you writing for the Philly Inquiry down there now?
So like Beatitudes.
Yeah, Beatitudes. Yeah.
Like blessed are the meek, the poor, for they shall inherit the earth. Like you know, like your interpretation of Jesus, this is how you always pray, is pretty fucked up. Because Jesus was dark-skinned, Jewish, Middle Easterner walking around the desert. If he actually existed, this is what he would be. And he was a socialist as well. So he was a socialist Jew living in the Middle East.
Yeah. So I think it went something like this, though, right? So my understanding is that when she voted against, wanted to take health care away from people, that the first thing she did, she said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is reward in your heaven. For the same way that they persecuted the prophets who were before you, I vote to take health care away from people."
I to take cash away from poor people.
Right. That's how it went, right? I think that's exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was pretty much a transcript, right?
And I'm voting against this bill. I'm voting for this bill to take.
Yes, exactly. So, poor people be damned. Right?
Yes.
It's crazy.
And then Daryl Metcalf had to insert himself into this fucking travesty.
Daryl Metcalf.
So Movita had a press conference, or was speaking to the press the following day. She said that the House should censure State Borowitz over her prayer, which I think is a no-brainer. And so Daryl Metcalf is using the reverse racism card.
There you go.
He's serving, so he wants to censure the people who are censuring Borowitz for Islamophobia, because they're the actual racists here.
Yeah, so I want to censure the censorers. Stop touching me. Oh my God! He said, "You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. This is pretty nuts."
This is like one of these.
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. And so
speaking of
that wraps that episode up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of
Daryl Metcalf,
he it wasn't enough for him to censure the censors who's censoring the censors, but he also had to bring his own brand of crazy.
Yes, he brought in someone from Das Hartland Institute.
Das Hartland. Yeah, I think they were talking outside ahead of time. It was caught on tape, I believe. Right? I think it was just wait. I think it's here. Yeah, this is it.
Das war ein Befehl. Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl.
It was a little weird because it was like, it didn't seem like it was going to be all such an angry thing before. It was supposed to be all climate change. Instead, it was that. But
yeah, so I had to go to this climate change hearing, 8:30 on Wednesday morning. Yes.
Sean had to get up and oh man, I got to get to the Capitol.
It was still dark out when I got up.
Oh, whatever, man. That's funny.
I woke up at 6:30 and I'm like, man, I have an hour to prepare, get a shower, drink a pot of coffee, and get to the Capitol. Because it's
if you're looking for sympathy here, I just don't have it. I just don't have it.
What was great about this hearing, Karen Faradin and a bunch of her activist friends showed up, dressed up as leprechauns, unicorns.
Oh, that's awesome! You didn't tell me that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
They dressed up in magical things that don't exist. And so I guess I have to set the scene for this. I don't know, but yeah, it was a whole lot of stupid. There were a couple great takeaways about this hearing.
My team and I always had trouble managing.
Leanne Kruger-Branicki apparently doesn't give a fuck about the fact that he self-published his climate denial book.
That was good, actually. That was really good.
She's one of the best messengers that the party has. And then Fiedler asked a question. Elizabeth Fiedler from South Philly, asking about the who funds the Heartland Institute, and calling them a climate denialist institution, to which the climate denialist is very, very upset. He said climate denialists, climate deniers are very derogatory terms. He's like, I don't know any climate denialists. I know a bunch of climate skeptics. We're not deniers, we're just skeptics. And he's like, you could throw in all these ad hom attacks against me, against this Heartland Institute, but just please say we're not climate deniers.
Okay, climate denier.
But like the guy, he self-published his book on called Inconvenient Facts.
It's doing really, really well, Sean. It's #1 in environmental and politics on right-wing watching the watchers.core.
Oh, and his podcast was deplatformed.
Was it really?
Apple. Yes.
Sorry.
He was complaining about being deplatformed.
Oh my god. Can you imagine that podcast? Can you imagine that? That guy was like as charismatic as like a door. Right? I mean, to begin with, right? I don't care how good his book sells.
Like he was saying that while writing it, so during the hearing, while writing this book, he forced his wife, who was sick and retired from her job, to fucking go out of retirement and into work, so he can fund this book and take the time off he needs to write this book and publish it.
Are you kidding me?
No, I am not. He said that. Yeah, he also told the committee. He told the committee a bunch of wild shit. It was that was awesome. I mean, he was trying to say how he never really worked for the gas industry, and so afterwards, Katie Meyer goes up and says, "Sir, you spent 30 years working for a pipeline company, Texas Pipeline Corporation. Would you like to talk about that?" And then his retort was, "Do you talk to the climate scientists about their jobs and the funding that they get?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, but you're the climate denier here."
Yeah. So, climate skeptic!
And then at one point, while we're we have these people surrounded outside in the hallway, Tim Speece comes up in the frame and comes up to the guy. Tim Speece from the Lancaster Against Pipelines, who was in that the video, the commercial, Jess King commercial, with the lamb and everything.
Yeah.
He comes up in the frame and says, "You." He had a really good comment. He's like, he would start yelling at this guy. He's like, "Sir, why are you angry?" He's like, "You're trying to kill us. How would you think I would react if someone pulled a gun out on me? I'd be pissed." It's exactly what you're doing. You are killing us. You are killing the planet, and you are responsible for the destruction of this earth. And that's why I'm pissed off at you people.
Check. And people got to remember, the Heartland Institute is the center of the climate change denying industry. They're the ones where all the kind of the dark money got pumped into, and they are the central focus for producing this kind of climate denying garbage that gets out there. And they fund people like this guy, right?
He said he's not funded by the Heartland Institute.
Whatever.
He said he woke up one day and he just appeared on their advisory report. He said he had no clue he was on the advisory report.
Yep. Sure. Okay. I was just a guy sitting there making his wife work so I could write this book and self-publish it myself, and then suddenly I'm on their board. And you know what they did? They went to Amazon, they bought 4 million books, right? And they're giving them out for free to everybody. It was great. Oh, my God. I just wish they would have used my little Amazon link on my podcast that got deplatformed so that I would have got a little bit of kickback for it. Jesus. My God.
Hey, don't say the guy's name in vain.
Hey, excuse me. Yep, exactly. Hey, speaking of, you mentioned this stuff about, I totally forgot about this, but this is just a rando point, but you mentioned Karen Ferritin and them kind of dressing up, kind of doing this stuff there. Did you happen to catch, I mentioned that guy from the oil industry, right, the David Bernhardt, right, he's there were hearings this week. I totally botched that part of it to kind of tell people that this is guy he's going through hearings this week. That's why these tapes matter right now. But he's going through these hearings, and there was people sitting behind him. Right, they got a seat right over his shoulder, and they had a Swamp Thing mask on for the whole freaking year, like an hour. Right, and they got the Swamp Thing sitting there, like he's making these statements, and the Swamp Thing's like tilting its head, looking at him, like what?
The guy who was testifying, right?
Yeah.
Wrightstone and his buddy Gordon Toome, who is the person who co-wrote the book with him and edited the book. He's also a senior fellow at the Commonwealth Foundation.
Oh, there you go.
No surprise there. They were wearing buttons that said "I heart CO2" on it. And they asked me when I walked in if I wanted a button. I said, no, get that fucking shit out of here pretty much.
I told you what I'd say. I'm like, yeah, totally give me one of those. This is going to I got a big little museum of crazy at home, and I'm going to put it right in there. Because
Again, it's like also 8 o'clock in the morning.
I didn't know dinosaurs were handing out pins today. I'm crazy.
And then, I told Brant, yeah.
You told what?
I was talking to Leanne Kruger, and I was just and I asked her, you noticed the buttons they were wearing? She said, no. I showed it to her. She couldn't. She's like, yeah.
It's just remarkable. It's really remarkable that this is where they go. But, look, this is the politics of this is the politics that we're in. You go as extreme as possible, right, in order to kind of get your way, right, so that it becomes normalized. It's messed up. It's messed up. The Overton window experts, these folks. So crazy. All right, man. Anything else going on in PA?
No, nothing much.
All right, man. Well, we'll skip to it. We're going to go.
They're out of session next week.
Out of session next week.
Yes.
So you're going to need a whole week to recover from this week. Good thing they're out of session, Sean.
Well, that's why I got this.
There you go. He's got his metal cylinder, which we're going to talk about right after this. No, Sean did not get some sort of cybernetic implant. Oh, he got something else in the mail. So we'll talk about that in today's last call. So this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. We'll be back right after this with today's This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. For the past 7 years, Raging Chicken Press has brought pull no punches, progressive reporting and commentary to the interwebs. Our long-form investigative pieces, stories that no access journalist wants to touch, or rollicking weekly podcasts strive to advance progressive movements and perspectives rooted in the struggles happening across the country or down the street. We've broken national stories and caused our share of discomfort in the halls of power. If we want a progressive future, we need progressive media. And you can help support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a member of Raging Chicken Press for as little as $5 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/rcpress and choose your membership level. We need to make sure to keep the movement in the media and the media in the movement. Best way you can do that is to become a member of Raging Chicken today by going to patreon.com/rcpress. Thank you for your energy, your encouragement, and your support. Keep up the fight. Welcome back to Raging Chicken's Out the Coop podcast. It is the last call. We talk about space news. We talk about beer. We talk about other kind of random stuff kind of happen in our lives and kind of cool things going on. So I'll do space news right off the top today. Mike Pence, he was trying to channel his Kennedy moon landing speech. Like, we don't do things because they are easy. We do them because they're hard. Right? So Pence got up there saying, we're going to go back to the moon, right? So he's trying to do all that kind of stuff. But we know, look, Pence is a major, space guy. I'm sure somewhere in the recesses of his bookshelf, he has got some kind of prophecy book about somehow going to the moon will bring the kind of end of times or something like this. I'm sure that's part of it somehow. But for whatever reason, Pence is huge on space, and so he was there as basically saying that, look, NASA had plans to go back to the moon by 2028, but he's saying, no, we're going to rush it. We're going to make it come by we're going to put people back there by 2024, right? So you do the math, folks. That's 4 years after the 2020 election. So you got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt, right? Because saying, okay, we set these aspirations, and then the Democrats take over, and, man, we couldn't go to the moon because the Democrats took over, right? Now, it was funny because, I was following this stuff, and I found out that on Maddow, she kind of led with this.
What's that?
Is that your excuse?
I didn't get it. You broke up.
We have to get to the moon for the Democrats to take over?
Say it again.
Is that the excuse now? We have to get to the moon before the Dems take over?
Apparently. Or don't let... Oh, yeah, don't vote in the Dems if you want to actually go to the moon. Right? So... But Maddow, what she was good at, right, and then kind of she covered it. It was at the beginning of the show. I'm like, oh my God, how about this? So I'm actually paying attention to this. She noted that you got to take this with a grain of salt, right? Because while it is true that they're announcing these plans, there is nothing in the NASA budget for this operation, right?
So it's not happening.
So, well... Here's the thing, right? This is my little back and forth that I was having with the TV last night, or 2 nights ago, whenever it was. But so Maddow wants to kind of point out that there's like no money allocated for it and all this kind of stuff. And while that is true, and while we have to take this stuff with like a grain of salt and all this stuff, I do think it's important, that there's a bigger picture here. And I think that because, again, this is not Maddow's thing. But the bigger piece of this here, too, is remember, I talked about this on the show last week, that Jim Bridenstine announced that basically they were willing to kind of put aside the SLS, which is the Space Launch System, and then bring in kind of private firms to actually kind of take over the launching. So they're looking to SpaceX, they're looking at Blue Origin as other alternatives, so the private contractor stuff. And there was a real uptick in this discussion in kind of like the space industry community about the expansive possibilities for profit in a commercialized space thing. So there were subtle pushes that were going back to about the privatization of the space station, right? And all as a way to kind of clearing the way for opening up the space for space to kind of free market economics. So while it might be true, like in the short term, what Maddow was saying about this stuff, I don't think we can lose sight of the fact that what Pence is essentially doing, he's pushing for this as a way of kind of ramping up kind of investment and interest in the privatized space industry, right? So that's, I think, where that's going. So, if you're thinking about things in terms of expansive capitalism, you end up with a different perspective than just kind of paying attention to what's happening with policy in the granular aspect. So just my little 2 cents on that. Today was supposed to be an amazing day. Today, there are 2 women. We're going to be the first ever to do an all kind of women, all female spacewalk, right? It wasn't planned that way initially. The way astronauts go up and the way they deal with spacewalks are on a rotation. And according to the astronauts involved, that they were that it was just kind of on their rotation to kind of do this, and they kind of noticed, hey, right? This actually they noticed this back in like March or something, or early on in March. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was supposed to be really cool. So Christina Koch, I don't think there's any relation there, and Anne McClain were supposed to be the ones who walk them. Now, Christina Koch was up there already. Anne McClain, if you remember, there's just new astronauts had arrived on the space station about 2 weeks ago now, I think, maybe a week and a half ago. And they were supposed to go out on this spacewalk. But because NASA up on the space station did not have enough spacesuits that would fit them, right, they scrapped it. Right, and they decided that so they're going to alter it out. They're going to have like I think Christina Koch is going to go first with a guy, and then Anne McClain will go. There's another spacewalk in a week or so. Then she's going to go out with a guy. And the deal is this, right? Because the spacesuits are actually interchangeable, right? You have like different size tops and tops, bottoms, but it's an incredibly it's a long, laborious process in order to switch out the parts to make 2 medium-sized suits, because they both would require a medium-sized suit, 2 medium-sized suits for the spacewalk. So they figured, well, instead of doing that, they're just going to have 1 medium-sized suit. A woman will go out this time, and then the other woman will use, McClain will use that for next week. But it's a shame, because that would have been a really, really cool opportunity, and really highlight the fact that, that just NASA has been one of these places to showcasing kind of women scientists, women astronauts, and just a missed opportunity. So, this is kind of one of those kind of concrete things. It's like, look, if you're going to have expanding roles of people, then you've got to make sure they got the frickin' suit, especially if you're talking about in there. So
that's kind of a cool thing. I was really looking forward to that because we're going to be able to talk about it today, and then it's not going to happen. So, wah, wah.
2019, and we can't fuck it up anymore.
Really, exactly. So the other kind of just cool little bit of kind of tech bit on this one is that on Mars, for the Mars 2020 mission, they are going to introduce they're calling it a kind of helicopter. It's a mini helicopter. Now we know that the Martian atmosphere is a lot thinner than ours, so it's it's got to have different kind of little propeller systems and stuff, and it's going to kind of hop for different areas. What this is going to enable for them to happen is, that you've got rovers that have been up on Mars now for a while, and they cover like. I don't know, like maybe, several miles, right, of space on the planet because they have to move very slowly over rocky terrain and all this. With this helicopter thing, which has got these kind of like bouncy little legs on it, they can actually kind of hop to different areas of the planet in a much more quickly to see what's happening in different regions of Mars. So that's going to be kind of cool to see what's going on. Some cool pictures of that. You want to click on the links and check it out. So there's space news for the week. But the more important news for this week has to do with Sean's. Sean is 3.5 pounds heavier, despite the fact that he's cut out beer. What's happening, Sean?
First off, I have gone 3 weeks without having a beer,
and yet you gained 3.5 pounds.
Yeah, I bought a lens.
Woo! Yes, the lens.
I've been listening to this podcast for a couple of years.
Yes, exactly.
Knowing I have been waiting for this point for a while, was able to save up, paid off my credit card, and I'm now using my card to finance my photography adventures. So
very, very cool. And if you all remember, back in the 2016 election, Sean had gone out to cover the Bernie Sanders rally. Sorry, it's the Jess King rally that Bernie Sanders was at. My bad. And
this was last year.
Was that last year? That was last year. God, I can't keep time straight. So last year, Sean had actually rented one of these lenses, right? That he could do that, and the pictures were unbelievable. They were amazing from it. So now he had to return that one, but now this lens is in his repertoire. So anybody out there looking for somebody that is like camera for hire with an awesome lens, contact Sean Kitchen.
Yeah, I have funny things. Like, actually, a couple people have asked me to do headshots already. I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this right now.
You don't feel like doing it right now? He's like, do you understand? Do you guys understand? I've had a really tough week.
No, I mean, like, but the thing is, it's like, I would rather wait for it to get nicer, warmer out and all, like with State Street popping and everything.
Yeah.
Before, but I mean, I got it now because a couple weeks ago I did a photo shoot with SEIU Healthcare PA. Put video together of their lobby day for the safe patient ratios, and some people, just talking to some people afterwards, are asking if I'm going to be doing shooting stuff, and I've gotten asked to do a couple of things within the past month, and I actually had to turn something down because I don't have the equipment for it, and I don't want to do that unless I am confident to do it and putting my name on it. So and shot some video, and no, I mean, like, this is the type of lens where, 4 shoots can pay this off. And I could pay it off within a couple of months. Just making extra money besides what I'm doing now. And it's the type of thing where it's a good investment.
Excuse me. Sorry.
It's a good investment. Get it over with now. Get the stuff now. And the good thing about these type of lenses, especially the professional high-end, guaranteed to get most of the money you put back. You get back. If you have to sell it, you're guaranteed to get most of that money back after resale. So,
very cool, man. I can't wait to see what you're able to kind of play around with, right? Because I love your stuff to begin with, so it's going to be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I haven't been able to shoot all winter. I just don't feel like going out in the wintertime and shooting. Especially just the camera I have is not made for that. Neither is like the equipment and all.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can do it, but it's still just a pain in the ass.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this though too as well when you were as you've been talking about the lens and stuff. The weather was so bad for so long, right? If you remember, like the end of the summer all through the fall, it was so rainy and so nasty. So it just kind of even doesn't lend itself to wanting to get out there and take pictures too. So,
and also, like, it was so humid for the whole entire summer too.
Which is
like
not
that.
Good,
But even like I don't mind that going out. But I mean like the winter time because it's just like Harrisburg. Everything is dead in the winter time. And if you're not like unless it's like snowing.
Right,
you can get some really good shots.
Yeah, you got some. I was thinking about some of the pictures you got from before, some of the bridges and the river, like when there was ice on it and stuff like that. But
yeah, like when that's happening, but pretty much like anything with like vegetation in it is just going to be brown, and you're just either doing black and white photos at that point, which is not bad. But it's like I'm looking forward to it this spring. All the herons coming back, all the different type of egrets, herons, and be able to like shoot them. With a really nice lens. Now, another thing I might get after this, and wait a couple months, just to get an extender. So my lens, but the camera I have it's a 70-200 lens, is really like 1 to like 300 because of the crop factor. So so I get a 2 times extender. It could then be like a 200 to like 600 lens. You lose aperture. No. You lose some aperture with that, like but like you're able to like really get some decent fucking wildlife shots.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to see what you can do.
Yeah, same here. I'm looking forward to it. I won't. No, I will probably be doing portraits and stuff with that, but it'll be nice to like outside rallies, demonstrations, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Which you make me think I got to get my camera back out because I'm starting to get itching to get outside. So,
and it's 2020 coming up.
Yeah, so exactly. It's good timing.
And this is the reason why I bought my camera. 2016, being able to see Sanders, Clinton a couple of times in the primaries. It's pretty much the reason why I got a camera at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah,
and now this is more of a continuation of that.
It is an investment in the future of all of our futures. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I got just some brief news, beer news this week. It is another Sour Sunday this weekend at the Free Will Brewing Tap Room in Percy. They're going to have, like I said in the onset, it's going to their brand new bottle release, Flowers in the Desert. It is a blended mature sour ale aged in oak barrels with Arizona prickly pear, provided by and made in collaboration with our friends in the Southwest. This is their friends, I should say, of Oso Brewery, OHSO Brewery. And tray locally sourced and Taza truck will be set up out front for food and everything. They also have it's been getting a lot of discussion. Apparently, people are loving it. I haven't had it myself, but they have only available in the tap rooms. Do they have a special black and tan with it's kind of like the maple? I can't remember what it is, but special black and tan with this one of their kind of maple aged bourbon stout, something like that. So something really, really cool to take a look at. So there's that. Anything else going on, Sean?
This weekend? No, not really. Watching the Phils tomorrow. So
there you go. Go take it easy. Build up that energy again. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I'm hoping actually this week we're supposed to get up to like 70 tomorrow.
I'm already breaking out the shorts.
Yeah, totally. I'm actually great. I've ordered a bunch of stuff for like to plant because like I'm telling you, man. Ever since I started taking care of this sleep apnea crap, it's like, oh my god, I'm like, my energy's coming back. I'm thinking about, hey, I'd like to get out and do some gardening. Hey, I'd like to clean out the garage. Hey, which was it just tells me how bad it had been for a long time because I haven't had.
I've actually have a lot more energy now without having beer that often.
Yeah, that helps too as well, right?
You know, be able to sleep. Like I've been going to bed like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, or 9:30, and being able to get up at 6 and feeling great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm not the most cheery person in the morning, but
especially when it's dark outside. Oh, crazy. All right, man. Well, hey, have yourself an awesome weekend. Go Phils. And, yeah, we'll see you next week, man.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, never mind.
What were you going to say?
No, never mind. All right, well, this is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken Press. We'll be back next week. Once again, Out the Coop Podcast. See ya!
Critics will no doubt chastise me for not taking climate change seriously. But please, Mr. President, nothing could be further from the truth. No Utahn needs to hear pious lectures about the gravity of climate change from politicians from other states. For it was only in 2016, as viewers of the Sci-Fi Network will well remember, when climate change hit home in Utah, when our own state was struck not simply by a tornado, Mr. President, but by a tornado with sharks in it. These images are from the indispensable documentary film Sharknado 4. They captured the precise moment when one of the tornado sharks crashed through the window of Utah's governor, Governor Gary Herbert, a true Utah hero and a fine American. Governor Herbert bravely fought the animal off with the tennis racket that he keeps by his desk. So let's be really clear, Mr. President. Climate change is no joke, but the Green New Deal is a joke. You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. Mr. President, this is the real solution to climate change. Babies.